So it's been over 3 years since my last tribute to horror games. So now we are to my favorite genre, which is the RPG. So now guys, stay tuned for my tribute to horror DOS-based RPGs. First up is Don't Go Alone. Released in 1989 from Sterling Silver Software, your team of paranormal investigators enter a haunted house to find your grandfather and rescue him from the Ancient One. The game is huge as there's 10 massive levels to explore. Instead of hit points, you have a fear meter you must manage, which automatically decreases over time. But if all characters' meters fill up, you'll be transported to a random spot on the level and might just lose an item from one of your characters. There's no mana points or spells in the game, but you do have a concentration meter, which allows you to create chemical formulas using the periodic table. I remember completing the game back in the 90s and remember it being a pretty decent RPG. There are a couple negatives though. When you start the game, you make sure you turn off the sound, as every time you take a step, the game makes a beeping noise, which will definitely drive you insane. The only music actually plays at the title screen, and you actually have to load an ad-lib driver just to get the dang thing to play. Another annoyance, the battles can become quite tedious, especially at the beginning when your equipment is real poor. Currently there's no way to legally buy the game digitally, but you can get a copy off of eBay for around $40. Now here's a curious game. Escape from Hell was released in 1990 from Electronic Arts. Using the Wasteland engine, Escape from Hell puts you in control of Richard, who by some twist of fate ends up in hell. So the story goes, Richard heads up to meet with his friend Alan, but Alan never shows up except for a note. That night Richard explains what happens to his girlfriend Allison, but mistakenly reads the note and boom, she disappears. Richard then gets a call explaining that he just read a powerful incantation which sent Allison to hell. Then, of course, the dummy reads the message again and poof, Richard's in hell as well, and the story begins. Escape from Hell doesn't have flashy graphics or sound, but it does have a decent story, and you'll meet some pretty colorful characters, some historical, some from fiction, including Horatio and Hamlet, to Stalin and Blackbeard. Just like Wasteland, Escape from Hell has tons of skills you can learn along the way, to the end where you fight Lucifer himself to rescue Allison. I've not played Escape from Hell a ton, so I'll have to return at a later date to give you a full review. Just like Don't Go Alone, Escape from Hell can only be purchased on eBay for a hefty price, but there's a disc and manual copy up that can be had for between $20 and $30. Next up is the RPG hybrid Waxworks. Released in 1992 by Horrorsoft, they also released the Elvira RPG adventure hybrid games, and Waxworks is the spiritual successor to that series, just no Elvira. The story of Waxworks starts with a gypsy curse laid upon your ancestors. Every generation of twins born, the curse takes effect, making one grow up to be good and the other pure evil. Of course, you have a twin brother named Alex, which the curse is going to claim, and it's your job to stop it. You also learn that your Uncle Boris has died and left you his Waxworks, a mausoleum of wax figures, as well as a crystal ball that he communicates with you from the other side. You learn from your uncle the only way to defeat the curse is to travel using the Waxworks to different time periods and defeat the evil from within each area. There's 5 areas in total. There's Ancient Egypt, where you must rescue a princess. This era has the best puzzles in the game in my opinion. You'll face off against a necromancer in a zombie-infested cemetery straight out of Night of the Living Dead. Go up against the infamous Jack the Ripper in a Victorian-era London. You'll need to stay away from the coppers and angry mobs, or it will be the end of you. Fend off plant-like mutants in an industrial mine. In my opinion, this level is definitely the creepiest. You then learn you must travel to the gypsy herself and put an end to the curse once and for all. If you like Waxworks, I would recommend checking out the first two games made by Horrorsoft, which are the Elvira games. Unfortunately, there's no way to purchase them digitally and they're quite expensive on eBay. But Waxworks can be purchased off Good Old Games for $5.99 and configured and ready to play. I thought I'd end part 1 with another RPG adventure hybrid, Quest for Glory Shadows of Darkness. Shadows of Darkness was released in 1993 by legendary gaming company Sierra Online. This version was riddled with bugs and barely playable, but in 1994 the CD version was released and many of the previous issues were fixed. Fourth in the Quest for Glory series, Shadows of Darkness picks up right where the previous installment left off. Teleported to the land of Mordavia, the hero must once again help others defeat a great evil. Although similar in style to the previous games, the combat system was changed quite a bit. They went to more of a side-scroll view for combat, incorporated using a mouse. Shadows of Darkness also had a very dark tone with traces of Slovakian lore, with also just a touch of H.P. Lovecraft. Even though darker than its previous iterations, there was still a silly comical side as well. Along the way, the hero helps various townspeople with problems and meets new allies, as well as encounters a few old foes. The narrator of the game might have sounded familiar. That's because it was John Rhys Davies. He played the Professor in Sliders, and more recently Gimli from the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Shadows of Darkness, as well as the other Quest for Glory games, can be purchased from Good Old Games in an anthology collection for $9.99. I highly recommend the series if you enjoy a touch of adventure with your RPG.
You're in the heart of the cave. You pick up the canvas sheet and take 3 crowns and 17 kopecks from the pouch. He won't be needing them anytime soon.
And that was part 1 of my tribute to horror RPGs. If all goes according to plan, expect part 2 to go up on Halloween night. Again guys, thanks for watching.